What is going to happen is that we are going to see a United States of America which thinks that is losing its grip. So I am of the view, which is subject to being second guessed, that a Trump presidency may very well be the presidency that will quicken the end of the wars. I am of the view that the United States of America is going to be very active in Africa as a reaction to China and Russia, and as a reaction to other players such as the Emiratis and the Turks.
This is a small extract of one of the most raw and unapologetic speeches you will ever hear from a wise African called Professor PLO Lumumba. Listen carefully to everything he is talking about because the amount of wisdom in it is mind-blowing.
Big words. That's true. That's a fact. It just happened a few months ago with Ibrahim Traore. They sent the General Longley saying that Ibrahim Traore and his troops trying to steal the gold of the Burkinabe peoples for themselves. And Ibrahim Traore responded. He said, no, first of all, that's none of your business. Number two, we are doing that to develop our country, to defend ourselves, to buy guns, weapons, because you don't want to sell all the weapons. And we have the proxy war here. We have the terrorism here. We want to protect our people. We're using the gold to buy weapons from other peoples. And yeah. And what happened? They changed the General Longley, the black guy, and now they put the white guy. So you see, because we used to those old tricks, okay, using black people to try to attack black countries. No, that's over. That's over. And he's right. It's gonna be a fight, a hell of a fight. The Chinese are there doing businesses, and the Chinese are different, you know? I'm not saying that they're not colonizing, they are doing whatever they want to do, to the extent that the Africans allow them to do, right? But at least they're trying to create a win-win partnership. You want the roads, you want the ports, you want the bridges, you want whatever you want. I'm building it, you know, and we do business. 70% is mine during 27 years, and then it's yours. That's a fair deal, because that's not a long time for a nation. So that's the difference. The Europeans, the Americans, they never built anything. Show me a receipt. No cities, no uni, no bridges, no schools, no nothing, no hospitals, no nothing. Chinese are building cities, bridges, roads, ports, you know, helping the infrastructures, doing businesses. I'd say, let's keep pushing, guys.
The United States of America is a country that cannot be ignored. It still has the strongest economy in the world. It is hegemon militarily. It is a strong nation. Economically, it's a strong nation. And the reality of the world is that the law of the jungle is still alive and well. Is survival of the fittest, the dying of the least suitable. And in truth, power still springs from the barrel of the gun. So we in the continent of Africa must pay attention. You remember that the United States of America has bases in a number of African countries, and going forward, we must define, particularly in the continent of Africa, we must define how we are going to engage with the United States of America. And my considered view is that a strong Africa will be able to engage in a much more creative and symbiotic way. A weak Africa will be manipulated by the United States of America, notwithstanding who is the president of that country after the 5th day of November, and of course after inauguration in the month of January 2025. I've always held the view that the Democrats and the Republicans in the United States of America are two sides of the same coin. So that in terms of international relations, I do not think that anything changes fundamentally. In my view, the United States of America has certain anchors which don't change in a dramatic manner simply because there is at the helm a president who is a Democrat or one who is a Republican. Of course, there are certain things that will happen a lot more prominently when a Republican president is in power, but in real terms, there are two sides of the same coin. The United States of America still wants to be the hegemon in the world. They want to control affairs. They want the dollar to remain the dominant currency in the world. They want their military to be the strongest in the world. They want to dictate what happens not only in the continent of Africa but in Asia. They want to be dominant in business. They want to be dominant in science. And it matters not who is at the helm, because I think beyond the faces, and in spite of the faces, whether Republican or Democrat, there is something that the American administrative machine does in the interest of the United States of America.
Quick words, that's a fact. That's a fact. And to be fair, that's okay. I mean, American government is there to serve the American people. You know what I mean? They are not there to serve Africans or Europeans or whatever you name it. They know. They do businesses to win. You know what I mean? They try to do business for their people, their continent. But the problem is we, on the other side. You know what I mean? We Africans, we the diaspora. What are we doing? And the problem is that we have sellout leaders. As long as we have sellout leaders, nothing's going to change. Okay? They need to be a new kind of leaders, like Ibrahim Traoré, young, with vision, 2025 vision. You know what's going on in this 2021 century? You know what I mean? 21st century, not 2021. Okay? It's the only way we will succeed. Young leader with a vision, with a new mindset, trying to come together, trying to link the continent. Okay? Let's talk. Let's move. Let's do everything together as a one. Otherwise, we are going to keep losing. You know what I mean? We are going to keep losing. It just happened a few months ago, or a few weeks, or a few months ago. We are the Western Africans went to America. Before that, we had a South African president. It was nasty work. It was embarrassing. So embarrassing. They were talking about the quote-unquote fake genocide of white South Africans. What the hell is going on here? Nasty, embarrassing. Cutting newspaper from other countries talking about other situations. That's insane. That was embarrassing. And now we had the president from Senegal, and I don't recall which other African, West African country were there. It was, again, the same embarrassing stuff. We don't need that. We need to proud African leaders that can go outside, speak for the continent, for their country. That's what we need. I'm tired of these sellout leaders that we have. But we need to do our part, the diaspora and the people on the continent. Otherwise, we're not still remaining at the bottom. Losing. Like I said the other day, last year I went to Zanzibar. It's East African country, Tanzania country, if you may. There were a lot of people there, white people, Asian people, Indian people, Turkish people, living the soft life, creating businesses. And what we are doing as the diaspora, nothing. By the time we wake up, it's gonna be over. We're gonna go there, and every foreign are going to own everything, the land, the businesses, and we're gonna make them rich. That's insane. to do the back and forth between the continents and wherever we are in the diaspora to develop there, because like everybody says, Malcolm X said that, Dr. Claude Anderson said that if Africa is strong, we in the diaspora, we are going to be able to use the African resources for ourselves here in the diaspora to compete with people here. That's it. Let's keep pushing, guys.
Trump argues and is on record as saying that he'll do everything in his power to bring the wars to an end. And of course, even Kamala Harris says the same thing. But I think things have shifted on the ground so very dramatically that it may not be as easy as one imagines. And Trump, of course, was a former president, and the argument was in the United States that he had rapport with President Putin of Russia, and that could very well help in resolving the conflict in Europe between Russia and Ukraine. And you remember at one time, when Trump was the president, he also had very tough words against NATO, asking them to pick up the bills. So I am of the view, which is subject to being second-guessed, that a Trump presidency may very well be the presidency that will quicken the end of the wars. That is my own view. But easier said than done. One must be cautious in making such statements. The United States foreign policy, when one talks about Kenya or Africa, remains fundamentally constant. But there are those who observe, and I'm one of them, that during Republican presidencies, the United States of America does appear to support many more programs than during the Democratic presidencies, which is full of rhetoric and short on action. And I am of the view that the United States of America is going to be very active in Africa as a reaction to China and Russia, and as a reaction to other players such as the Emiratis and the Turks. Take, for example, in the single area, the Belt and Road Bridge program that is being done by the Chinese. The Americans are already responding with what is called the Lobito Corridor, which is to build a railway from Lobito in Angola through to Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo for purpose of extraction of minerals. And of course, they will also be reacting to the presence of Russia in the Sahel region and the presence of China as one of the leading partners of many African countries. So one will begin to see once again Africa being a theater of contestation of different powers, and those powers are the United States of America. Of course, one sees that even France, and it is not lost on me that the French have actually announced that they'll have a meeting of the Francophonies in 2026 in Kenya. Beggars belief. I do not know why they should do that. Kenya is not a Francophonie. You've seen the British also through the Commonwealth becoming a lot more aggressive. The Turks are equally aggressive. The Emiratis are equally aggressive. The Chinese are a little bit more subtle. They don't make as much noise as others do, but you see them in different areas. So what is going to happen is that we are going to see a United States of America which thinks that is losing its grip, and therefore whoever wins, it is going to be a time for activity in the continent of Africa. Kenya remains strategically very important in the Eastern Africa region and in the Horn. And that is particularly so because many countries in this part of the world are threatened with some kind of conflict. You go to Somalia, there is still some conflict. You go to Ethiopia, there is still some animosity. Sudan, of course, we know what is happening there. South Sudan is also going through its own difficulties. So Kenya has major strategic value. And I believe that whoever is in government will want to engage Kenya as an anchor country in that regard for geopolitical and geostrategic reasons.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this.
Shout out to African Hub for the video. That's fact. That's fact. And it's gonna be a hell of a fight in the African continent. And Africans, especially African leaders, they need to come together. They need to come as one, stop all these sellout behaviors, and focus on the continent, on the people, developing the countries, bringing knowledge, technology to the people. You know what I mean? Creating unis, hospitals, you know, pharmaceutical centers to create their own medicines. Because guys, we remember during COVID, nobody wanted to send COVID vaccine to Africans. And thanks God, Africa was the continent with the less COVID cases. So, but none of these people wanted to give Africans medicines during COVID time. And that's embarrassing. You are the whole of a continent, rich, and you can even produce your own medicine for your own people. Still begging, still waiting. That's crazy. And when they gave that to them, it was all expired COVID vaccines. That's crazy. So, African leaders need to change the mindset. They need to go back to the African culture, traditions, values, spirituality, okay? And build off of it. That's it. Okay, they need to stop with all the sellout behavior. We don't need that. And they need to stop staying in power. The president of Cameroon is 92 years old. What the hell are you doing in power at 92 years old? You're old. You can barely speak, barely walk. And he's saying that he wants to do another. Are you serious? You see, that's the problem. We need a new vision, new mentality, new behavior. We need to create schools that create pro-Africa first leaders. Okay. So guys, thanks for watching, and please subscribe, like, comment below. It helps the algorithm. Thank you so much for those who subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. This is African Minute, your channel. We chat, we talk about what's going on in Africa, what's need to be done, changed, everything. And guys, please subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. And thanks a lot for those who subscribe to the channel. And keep subscribing, keep watching the videos. Let's go. Show me some love. I need your love. Let's create something big here. Thank you guys, and watch the next video that's going to pop up here. And till next time, take care of you and your family. Peace out.